Apocalypse Manufacturing and SoFlo Customs have revealed its first-ever custom electric off-roader. This is the Nirvana, a Rivian R1T with lifted suspension and an incredibly intimidating exterior. Apocalypse Manufacturing has a lot of experience in the truck field, creating some of the world's most extreme pickups and SUVs. From six-wheeled Broncos to 1,000 horsepower off-roaders, the Florida-based outfitters can do almost anything. But the Rivian is by far the most complex project the company has undertaken. Before we get into that, though, let's look at the styling. Owner Joe Ghattas told The Drive that the Rivian styling is the one thing he disliked about the R1T. "I would have never given that car a second thought," said Ghattas. "It looks like a Kia on the outside. But jump in it, and it's lightning fast, and the ride is really impressive. I was looking at this, and it has nearly 1,000 horsepower, does 0 to 60 miles per hour in like 2 seconds, but it's ugly as sin on the outside, so that's what we went to fix." Ghattas explained that the truck was rebodied and lifted to accommodate the chunky 38-inch tires. The Rivian is already pretty capable off-road, but Apocalypse has equipped the undercarriage with a skid plate. Rivian has done all the hard work by figuring out the torque vectoring and electric drive setup. "All I had to do was make it taller and keep it intact." Turning the Rivian into an Apocalypse-worthy vehicle wasn't easy, as the team found out when work began on the components. Initially, they expected to modify the frame and not much else. But Apocalypse soon found that it needed to fabricate custom suspension components for the truck. "We had to fabricate every single part from scratch," explained Ghattas to The Drive. "We thought we were going to be able just to slide that subframe down a bit. We had to make our own spindle from scratch, upper and lower control arms from scratch, and our own steering setup there to extend the rack back to where the driver reaches." The sophisticated suspension proved a worthy adversary for Apocalypse engineers. R1Ts receive height-adjustable air suspension with an independent setup at the rear, making it one of the more composed and refined pickups out there. It's rather complex, with myriad sensors to control the air springs and an adaptive damping system. Despite the challenges, Ghattas says this makes the Rivian so unique. "We went through a full set of airbags, and blew them all up because the slightest differentiation of angles on these things makes a big difference. This thing was engineered with very tight tolerances, and we had to recreate all of that. Likewise, the sensors for the active safety features, embedded within the bodywork, had to be adapted to work with the new fiberglass panels. This includes the adaptive cruise control, automatic braking, and more." The Nirvana is based on the range-topping quad-motor derivative that boasts 835 horsepower and a startling 0 to 60 miles per hour time of 3 seconds. "It took a lot more than I thought. We're 9 months into this project, but we're really happy with what came out the other end," said Ghattas. "I drove this car yesterday, and it's a mixture of a sports car and a big truck. You want the feel of a Ferrari and be able to drive over curbs, and that's what I got out of this." Apocalypse has plans to sell the Nirvana for around $150,000, which is $50,000 more than a fully equipped R1T quad motor. If Ghattas gets it right, he hopes that Apocalypse Manufacturing and SoFlo Customs can work with Rivian and become an official tuner for the brand. "I'm so incredibly impressed with the technology in the Rivian. I think it's an amazing truck. Its only downside is the look, and, if I could become Rivian's Shelby or Brabus, I would love to be," concluded Ghattas.